Hello one, hello all, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Scoobinho. I'm so mad right now. I just lost my SD card and it took me like the last 2 hours to try to even look for it. I didn't even find it. I'm using a backup one right now. And what makes things worse is that I have to sit here and talk about a show that has just disappointed me for the last few weeks. And I've been waiting till the end, to the series finale, till everything was wrapped up, and I didn't have any loose questions, but I don't know. I've just been so triggered for the last few weeks. This was like the last straw on the camel's back. So, let's just do this. I think the thing about this episode is that it's nowhere near as bad as episode 4 was. Like, I don't like the decisions that are made in this episode, but the thing is, they're all set up in episode 4. Like, we all know what's going to happen to Varys in this episode because of episode 4. We all know what Dany's going to do in this episode because of episode 4. So a lot of things that do end up happening, I'm not, surprised by. It's just annoying that these are the corners that our characters are being written into. And, I could be, like, even more mad. Like, if I was on camera talking about last week's episode, I'd be screaming. But I don't know, like, this episode, I'm not gonna give this episode slack or just not go in as much because I expected less. Like, since when should I be expecting less from a Game of Thrones episode? Anyway, I'm kind of ranting. Let's just go into this episode kind of scene by scene, not scene by scene, but the major points as the episode goes along. I want to get the positives out of the way because there are, like I said, this episode is not as bad as last episode was. Like, episode 4 was a monstrosity. That was easily, like, and I hate to, like, kind of exaggerate, but I personally feel like it's one of the worst Game of Thrones episode I've watched of all time. Everything seems so fucking rushed. Like, Varys at the beginning of the episode was concerned for Dany, and then, fast forward like 25 minutes later, he's over there plotting against Dany. So, like I said, that was seeds for what happens to him in this episode, but all that shit happens, in between 2 episodes. If this was a 10-episode season, that would be fleshed out more, and it would make more sense. But, now he just dies unceremoniously. He just goes out exactly how I expected him to, so I can't be that mad. I can't stop, like, diverging into my rants. I want to hit the positives of this episode. Number 1, cinematography, the acting, the directing, the set pieces. Look, everything directing wise and as far as the characters' performances or the actors' performances, all spectacular. I can't have any complaints. The music as well, like the score, all fantastic. Like, this is not an issue with the directing or the people putting in the performances. They all crushed it. Cersei was amazing, and Jaime and Tyrion, they all these actors killed the performances. I just can't ask anything more. It just sucks that they have these really crappy scripts to work with. I am so triggered. So I kind of spoke on the stuff that was just wrong in the beginning of the episode, like Varys going straight up to Jon in broad daylight in front of everybody. Like, it's not like everyone's listening, but he's just talking about plotting against Daenerys in the wide open. Anybody who could be listening should be listening. It's just shit like that doesn't make any sense. This series has never known what to do past season 4. They've never known what to do with their smart characters. Like Tyrion, Baelish, and Varys, all these characters took a backseat to whatever the plot needed them to be. And they just mishandled these smart characters. Now they are just they are a shell of their former selves. And Varys, this is just ridiculous. I never thought Varys, me personally, I never thought Varys was as smart or as intricate as Littlefinger, but Varys would not be doing this stupid sort of plotting, and we're talking about treason against his queen for the last few seasons. He would not be doing this in, broad daylight in the wide open. But anyway, he gets caught, he dies. It doesn't piss me off that much because Daenerys said she would burn him alive if he was being treacherous, so whatever. But like I said, this was just set up from the last episode. Wasn't set up any time before. No time for these characters to, come up with these plans and have them fleshed out and, make the tough decisions. That Varys just snapped his fingers. He's like, okay, Jon is the rightful king. Let's go ahead and do this. I had a major problem with Rhaegal dying in episode 4, and I don't know, like the Ballisti in this episode, or the Scorpion as they're called in this series, I just don't understand, man. Like there are like I don't know. There are scorpions everywhere, and Drogon was buffed. It's like he went to the chop shop in between episodes and just got buffed, and the scorpions got nerfed, and it's a little retarded, right? Because we all complain about how Rhaegal died like this unceremonious death in the last episode, but why not just bring him into this fight and have him die here? Give Dany more reason to be pissed off, and start going off in King's Landing. Oh my god, I'm just ranting, but it's things like that just make a little bit more sense. Drogon was, I don't know, like, you look at Drogon now after what just transpired, like, how can Drogon be stopped now? What could possibly stop Drogon? Like, I just assume Jon's gonna end up killing Dany, so what the hell are they gonna do with Drogon? I don't know. The Golden Company. There was all this setup for the Golden Company, and then, whoops. Dany just, like, I'm not mad. This is very minor, because who cares? The Golden Company, they look like dweebs before they even fought, so like whatever, they just kill off the Golden Company, and what was it like before they even drew any swords, the Golden Company is wiped out. We don't even see them do anything. Minor, but whatever. Like why hype up the Golden Company this much if they're just not going to do anything? Everything, look, everything I'm talking about so far are things that I find minor issues with this episode, so you could imagine how triggered I am about my next point. I knew, and I'm sure a lot of people knew, we all knew this was coming after watching episode 4. Dany, by the way, the battle is won. The Lannisters throw down their swords, they ring the bell. Dany, that's it. Turn your dragon around, go home, bada bing, bada boom. Hey, but the writers have decided to write Dany into this corner, turn her into a baddie, for no fucking reason. There's no reason for Dany to do what she does next. And what she does next is literally light up King's Landing, all the citizens, all the innocent people, her own people as well, her own armies, as well as the Lannister armies. There's just, oh my god, man. And you know what the worst thing is? She looks at Cersei before she does it, and it's like, yeah, that's the person you have conflict with, Cersei. So I don't understand why you're carpet bombing this entire city before you even make an attempt to go to Cersei. It's just some of the most ridiculous, like, writing strictly for the plot thing I've ever seen in my entire life. She's just so clearly being written as some sort of villain. It's just retarded, let's be honest. There have been people, like, trying to say I shouldn't be, or people like me shouldn't be surprised that Dany's doing this. And it, like, lists from, like, what Dany does, all her, like, I guess Mad Queen-esque actions, like her using her dragons to burn shit down in the previous seasons. You can go ahead and say that, but and I can counter very easily and say that every time she's done that, she's done it to opponents that have been trying to kill her or undermine her. Dany has been fighting for innocent people, trying to free slaves, free the Unsullied, Missandei. All these people follow Dany because they freed her, and they follow her willingly. It's not because she has thrown fear upon them, all this Mad Queen-esque type of demeanors or actions that she's been doing literally all started from this season. You want me to believe that Dany is like this mad queen and whatever. She's a Targaryen, so of course that's inevitably what she's going to be. I just don't believe it based on the previous action from the previous seasons. Number 2, all this shit started this season. Like the most constant thread in this season is that it's rushed. And I don't know, they want me to believe that Dany all of a sudden is mad queen after 2 episodes. Like, you gotta understand, Dany wasn't even acting like this in the first 2 episodes, and then come along episode 4 and 5, she's supposed to be this mad queen. It's just so rushed, man. You want to do this to Dany? Go ahead. Just give it time to breathe. Like, there's snap decisions, man. Varys turning on Dany, and then Dany turning on her own beliefs. Like, it's just so dumb. It's the type of thing where it reminds me of Baelish, how he was written out of the series. It's like they had it in their minds that Baelish was going to die in season 7 at the end. And then they just wrote a shit, like, build-up to it. It's the same thing with this. Like, they knew that Dany was going to turn into the Mad Queen, and then there was just this really lazy 2 episodes sort of writing into that. And it's just so... the thing is, it's very fucking disappointing. And as soon as it happened, I was like, yep, I knew that was going to happen. But, my God, the execution was so fucking dumb. Like, she had won the battle, and... looking at Cersei, her main problem, and then she just goes ahead and lights up the entire city. Never have I ever seen Dany doing that. We're talking about, like, and the thing is, she does it for like 75% of the episode. Even when the Clegane Bowl is going on, she's just still out there just lighting up civilians. Like, and you know the thing is, they never show Dany like herself. They never show her perspective of her doing this shit because it's so out of character for her to be doing it, man. Y'all pray for me. People on Twitter also allude to the scene where it like showed her her vision of King's Landing in like ashes or snow, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and you know there was that vision of Drogon flying over King's Landing that Bran saw. It's perfectly fine to set up this type of thing. It's just that the payoff or like the execution was just so rushed, so betrays all of Dany's beliefs in 2 episodes, man. In 2 episodes, they literally wipe out her previous like what 6, 7 seasons. It's insane, and I need to remind you guys that 6 episodes for this last season, they thought that it would have been a good idea to wrap up not only the Night King, not only Cersei, but as well as this Mad Queen storyline. 6 episodes for 3 major conflicts. Can you imagine, like, I don't know, just pick out any trilogy. Just imagine, like, the Star Wars trilogy, like the original trilogy. Just imagine all 3 of those movies crammed into one. All those storylines just crammed into one fucking movie. They sat in the writer's room and they're like, hey, let's do all 3 of these storylines. Let's just put a bow on it. Like, who cares? Like, we don't need time. Let's just pretend it's a movie. People will love it because of the spectacle. Ugh. Now I'm just looking at my notes now. Euron showing up on the beach as soon as Jaime gets there is so laughable. Is there anyone taking that seriously at all? Like, Clegane Bowl, I don't know. You expecting me to get happy over some fucking fan service? Like, I'm just not at this point. I'm just, the Clegane Bowl, like, I don't know. Like, I was just so turned off by Dany turning the way she did that Clegane Bowl. Like, I knew it was coming, so it was just like, whatever. 2 giant, it's like watching the Big Show and Andre the Giant go at it. Like, the 2 slow, big idiots just, you know, I don't know. That's a weird analogy, but that's the only thing I pictured. I gave the writers the benefit of the doubt of the last episode when he left Brienne. I was like, okay, he's obviously not leaving Brienne just because he wants to go back to Cersei and you know, be in love with her still. He's just gonna go there to kill her because that's his arc, right? No, they proved me wrong. He went back. Everyone had a reason last week to be mad, and you know it came full circle this week. He just went back to her. He completed his arc in Winterfell, and it was just like, okay, I'm back. He just like basically rebooted himself, and it just goes to show, in hindsight, the whole thing with Brienne was just fan service. You know, it's really fucking irritating, and I don't know. The writers think we're fucking retarded, and that's the only thing I get from that. Those are the things that really piss me off. And now, like, I just want to mention some of the things that I do like. First of all, Arya can't fucking die. Like, the writers also don't know how to write, like, these near-death situations, because Arya just gets blasted left and right, like, maybe 3 times. And I'm just supposed to believe that Arya just gets up each time. Oh, my God, man. It's... Could you imagine this in season 3? Could you just imagine, like, someone getting engulfed in flames and then just brushing it off the next scene? I just can't. Regardless of that, I think that the stuff that they did with Arya on the ground, like, it kind of felt like it felt like a disaster movie, and then her trying to save that family, you know, that that lady and her daughter. I thought that was actually done really well because it just gave Arya this, like, extra oomph to go, what I presume, go kill Dany now. She has some big gripe with her now. She just watched 2 people die in front of her, 2 people that she kind of got close with, I don't know, in the time that she was there. I did like all that stuff. I don't know how or why a horse came back. They try to be, like, clever with this metaphorical shit or, like, the symbolism, like, whatever. And going back to Jaime and Cersei, like, I hate how they died. I'm sure everyone does, but I don't know, it's the performances of these actors, and like I said, it sucks that they have this really crappy writing to go along with it, but the performances were so good, and the music, by the way, I forget the name of the composer off the top of my head, but he is fantastic. Like, I don't know, like, a lot of the technical things about this episode were fantastic, so I'm not going to sit here and say that this episode was terrible, but, you know, in terms of the writing, yeah, it was terrible. In terms of the overall scope of the episode, not terrible. I will say this, though, in my final thoughts, I've never seen, me personally, and, you know, you could obviously disagree, but I've never seen a series finale collapse like this, and I was actually excited after the first episode because it was actually genuinely a good It was like the only episode in this entire season that I watched more than once. And then from there, I thought episode 2 was just, I don't know, gave me blue balls because I knew that the Battle of Winterfell was next. But in hindsight, I think it's good. Battle of Winterfell, good up until the last 15 minutes. I do have some minor things before that, though. Episode 4 was the biggest train wreck I've ever seen in my life, and, you know, episode 5 just keeps on with the tradition. Like I said, me personally, I've never seen a series wrap up so miserably like this is. And, you know, whatever next episode brings, I just can't see it turning this around. So this is why I'm kind of like jumping the gun, saying that this is like one of the worst series finale I've ever seen in my entire life. And it sucks because I really like Game of Thrones. You know, seasons 1 through 4 are absolutely phenomenal. Where are you at with Game of Thrones? I know this was like a very raw video, and I'm just like kind of spitting my ideas at the camera, and I don't know, like I'm clearly very triggered. I've never acted like this on camera before. Let me know what you thought. Has Game of Thrones been disappointing? Has Game of Thrones actually been good to you this season? Let me know in the comments below. I actually do want to hear what you guys think. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Maybe look for my SD card. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Scubinho from the 5th Row. If you are new around here, subscribe for more videos from me. If you like the video, give it a like. And if you have been subscribed for a minute, I appreciate you. I'm Scubinho from the 5th Row, and I'm gone.